Okay, well, we don't need this countdown clock. It just announces the live stream kicking in, and we have our music. This is the music I usually play in the background. Oops. Always too loud. But we don't need any of that, do we? Because I'm here on my tud. I'm here on my own. That's all right. And I'm here on my own because we don't have a live tutorial this week. This week being week 10, because we have a public holiday. Because the Queen died, and now we have a public holiday that was announced at short notice, which means we've cancelled our tutorial. So what we've actually done, let me explain, because I sent a message out and I explained in last week's tutorial, but just in case if you weren't there or you haven't read the message, this week's tutorial, this being week 10, is being offered to you, but it relates to the content of week 11. So I'm pre-recording my introduction and handing it over to you in week 10, but it's actually the tutorial that I would have run in week 11. And that's because, we had to jiggle things around because of this last minute public holiday that came in on Thursday when we would have had our tutorial. And what I couldn't do is pre-record the tutorial for week 10, because that one is a tutorial that needs to run live, and you'll find out all about that in week 11, because we've bumped that tutorial over to week 11. That makes sense? So this is week 11's tutorial being delivered in week 10, pre-recorded, and week 10's tutorial is going to be held live in week 11. It'll all make sense when we get to week 11, I hope. So, week 11 is all about critical community psychology, and it's designed to help you think about what you can do with all of the stuff that we've been covering in this unit. Where can you go with it in relation to, can you find a home in psychology to be able to continue this type of work? The type of work we've been doing on this unit. And you can kind of continue with this sort of work in an area called community psychology, but it's not all roses. It's not the promised land. I used to think it was. I started off in community psychology early in my career, just as I was doing my PhD, and that was about 30 years ago. Turns out community psychology promises some things, doesn't promise everything. So you might have a little bit of a troubled time, but maybe less of a troubling time than anywhere else in psychology. It's because community psychology is one of the areas that is supposed to challenge this idea that psychology should be about the individual. So in community psychology, the clue is in the name. They think it should be more about societal issues, community level and beyond. So in week 11, what you've got 3 videos to have a look at. And let me get over to that scene and show you. There we go. I know you can't really see this, but just giving you an idea of what the Moodle site looks like in case you've forgotten. So that first video, episode 19, that's actually the final video that I've made for this unit. And that's where I talk about community psychology. The other 2 are why there's this thing called critical community psychology. And the word critical there relates to critical theory, our critical approach on this unit, which is a critical approach that's informed by critical theory, which is all about politics and power and understanding both how things are culturally dependent and also influenced by social power, that vested interest stuff. So there's this thing called critical community psychology. So in that second video, that one there, I talk about the reasons why we have this thing. I'm falling off the side of the thing, aren't I? Here we go. Oh, all right. The reason we have something called critical community psychology, which is a sign that not all is well in community psychology, because you need this other version called critical community psychology. And in that third video, the one studying up, that's a presentation I made for a conference in the US, and it's a conference. The conference is run by an organization that's called SCRA, which kind of sounds like an organization which a Bond villain might have come up with, but it's not. It's just like an unfortunate acronym. It stands for Society for Community Research and Action. It's actually, you wouldn't know it from that title, but it's actually the Division of Community Psychology in the American Psychological Association. But they don't actually refer to community psychology in their title. I don't know. They're embarrassed about it. What? I don't know. I'm not sure. But that's a video I made, which kind of links into the topic we did on social power, because here I'm bringing back that notion of thinking about the power inequalities that exist in higher education and how that kind of contradicts some of the things that community psychology says it's about. Community psychology likes to portray itself as challenging power inequalities and social inequalities. But there you go. So that's that third video for you to have a look at. Now, let's get to the tutorial. And, I usually put the rules up, but we don't need the rules because I'm not going to be there. So I don't need to remind myself not to talk, or try not to talk. Let's just put the agenda up for you. And again, I usually post this, a longer version of the agenda in chat. But I'm not, obviously you're not in Zoom right now with me, so I can't do that. But we do have on the Moodle site, we do have this bit here, which are the questions, slightly elaborated. Okay, there we go. So that's the edition. Let me take you through this agenda. Let's go back to that agenda page. So what I want you to focus on is, with your classmates, is how you are positioned towards psychology and where you see you, but also this unit fitting into psychology. And how do you think psychology might need to change so it's a better fit for you? So these are the points for discussion I've got. So the first one is about having a talk with your classmates about why you chose to study psychology. So why did you pick it? Why did you pick psychology as a course, or if you just picked it as a unit of study or a series of units of study? Why have you picked psychology to study? Then I want you to talk about how has the teaching of psychology at university met your expectations? Is this what you were expecting psychology to be? So how was it what you expected, and how was it not what you expected? So share that with your classmates. And the next area is about whether psychology needs to change to fit your expectations and your experiences, but also to change in order to be what you want it to be. Oh my God, I've just done the CQU slogan, haven't I? Be what you want. Why is the CQU, that it's CQU slogan? Be what you want to be. Why is it what you want to be rather than who you want to be? They've rendered you into an object rather than a subject. That old thing about concept of self, object, subject. A what is an object, a who is a subject, a who is an active living human being. It's a person. A what is a thing. So what do you want to be? Who do you want to be? That's what they should have said. Anyway, got sidetracked. But I want you to talk about that. So, is it meeting your expectations in relation to, does it fit who you want to be? And if it doesn't, how does psychology need to change to fit you? And finally, I want you to talk about how the psychology you introduced to in this unit differs to that type of psychology that you might have been taught in other units at university on this degree or on a different degree, or maybe not at university at all, maybe at somewhere else. So how does this unit differ from other psychology units or psychology teachings that you are aware of? Okay, so have a chat about all of that, and I hope you have a good chat. And this is only an introduction. There's no outro for this video because there's no breakout rooms for anyone to go to other than me. I'm in my own little breakout room with nobody, just all on my own. So there's no breakout rooms, and we're not going to come back into the room and then record that discussion. You know, that bit where I go on unnecessarily long, which I'm doing just now. So this is the end of the tutorial that relates to teaching week 11's content, but is being recorded for you and delivered for you in week 10 for you to organize a tutorial yourself with your classmates at any point, at any time you want. And by the way, all of this discussion, these questions aren't anything that's going to be material that you can bring into the assessments. It's not really about the assessments. This is really that kind of, exiting the unit bit, try to get you to think of what you want to do with this unit, and then where you're going from here and what you can do with what you've learned from here. Where in psychology can you go with this stuff? That's what week 11's all about. Week 12, we'll focus on assessment free. So our tutorial will be more of a kind of Q&A around assessment free, just to get you those last minute nerves settled. Okay, I'll shut up now. So, see you. Should I put some music on to see us out? Spent enough money on this gear, I better. So, till next time, which will be week 11's tutorial. Ta-da. I'm going to turn my light out this time rather than fade to black. Might get a bit spooky though. Ooh. Ooh. I've got the other light on as well. No, this is damn creepy. Right. Bye-bye.